I'm very excited to share a case with you and introduce you to one of my patients. Her name is Kelly. She's a young woman and she's very active. She loves to do HIIT and cardio workouts. And most likely through these workouts, she injured her wrist. Anyway, she went for some therapy. It didn't help. And she ended up going to a surgeon who decided to do some explorative surgery. During the surgery, he found that there was a ligament tear of the CMC joint of her third metacarpal and capitate. So he repaired that ligament. He also did a tenosynovitis and he removed a ganglion. In addition, she has long thoracic nerve palsy of her right shoulder. So when she came to see me, her wrist was extremely stiff. And I also noticed how malaligned she was just in terms of the entire kinetic chain of her right upper limb. So I sent her to an incredible man that I send a lot of my patients to. His name is Dr. Place. He's an osteopath. And what I love about Dr. Place is that he can correct the skeleton for me. He can correct the imbalances. I also love that he taps right into the patient's emotions and he kind of understands exactly where they are at in their life. So she's been seeing Dr. Place regularly. He's also got a massage therapist whom she goes to. And we implemented our therapy. So some of you may have heard me talking about these nanotechnology patches. And I kept telling Kelly about them because she had what I called an ironing board wrist, like her wrist was not moving. We applied all the effective traditional techniques and we gained 20 degrees of flexion and extension. So I'm a therapist who's very aware of patients coming for multiple treatment sessions. And I just said to her, look, Kelly, there is this technology. Why don't you try it? It could really help to gain some range because it's actually working on your wrist at a biological level. So after a few weeks of telling her about this, she decided to try it. I think it was Tuesday morning, the patches arrived, and all we did was put an X39 on her wrist, which was quite near to her scar. The other problem that we had with her rehab was the scar tissue. Her scar was completely stuck down and it was limiting her range because, we tried all the tricks in the book to get that scar to mobilize and it just wouldn't. Anyway, I'm going to show you some videos of the response we got from this X39 patch in literally one day. It was actually phenomenal. So we put the patch on a Tuesday. She came to see me on the Thursday and we doubled her range. It didn't even take a week for her to regain 70 degrees of flexion and extension. The scar is completely released from the underlying fascia and tissue, and she's got no pain, and we're able now to progress with the rehab. And this is what I just want to talk to you about this morning, because there comes a point where your patient has full strength, full range of motion, and you can just charge them. So I said to Kelly, what are your fears? What's holding you back? What are your goals? And she said her fear is actually to do her yoga, to fully weight bear on her wrist, to know what her limits are in terms of what her wrist can do. So that is where I feel that the end stage rehab can be as important as the acute phase. And there is another incredible remote mentor. He doesn't know me, but obviously I've been following all of his social media and I've been sharing a little bit about him. And his name is Dr. Jack Kruse. And he has taught me so much about quantum biology and the use of the sun and UV light to heal the body. And so I've been sharing a lot of this with Kelly, and we decided that given I have my practice at home, we're going to use the advantage of what I have here to rehabilitate her in the sun. And really, that's what we should be doing. We should be telling our patients to get their wounds into the sun, get their skin in the game. And it's really just about exposing the mitochondria to the UV light so that it can interact with the nervous system so that we can get the rapid results that we see. I've also been really interested in why these patches are working. What is it? And I've gone deep into the research in looking at all of not only David Schmidt's work, who's the founder of LifeWave, but also looking at all the researchers that do his research or are involved in his research. And I found that there are some key words that we need to learn now in terms of joint stiffness. Mechanoradicals is one of them, hydrogen peroxide, and certainly free radicals, and really just looking a lot deeper into the collagen backbone and sacrificial bonds. So those are the key words. I have got a webinar where you can learn a whole lot more about that. But that is helping to explain to me why light is the key to our therapy, and why she can come to an experienced therapist who's done a lot of work over the years to, improve her skill set for her patients. And even with all of that knowledge and experience, I can't gain more than 20 degrees in 6 weeks after quite significant wrist surgery. Yet in one day, I can double her range, and in 1 week, I can return her range to normal. So today, we are going to share with you what I'm doing in terms of that advanced rehab. Rehab should be a lot more fun. We're going to be using the sun, and you're going to be hearing me talk a lot more about light. And the one thing I absolutely love about Dr. Jack Kruse is that he really wants his voice heard through other clinicians. He would love a tribe. He would love engagement. And he wants his message to get out there. So he has done so much work over the last 20 years to understand what he knows. And I did hear him say that it would take more than 10 years to read all of the literature he's published. And it's significant. But the beautiful thing is that if you start to listen, you can assimilate all of this information. And he makes a lot of sense. And I'm starting to implement it in my practice. And I want to encourage you to do the same, encourage you to go on a learning journey. I do have a private Facebook group where I'm sharing a lot more. So please do join that group, at the LifeWave Stem Cell Technology group. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of snippets. So as I see something on a podcast, as I learn something, I'm going to screen record and share it in that group, because it's just that microdosing of information that can lead you into a greater picture of where you need to be at your knowledge base. And I'm finding that amalgamating the geniuses of our time at the moment that are really going back to science has been here since the beginning of time is really where it's at. And it's also about using technology and combining technology. So later on, I am going to share a little bit more about Kelly, and we're going to share our treatment session with you. So I hope that you enjoy this, and I hope that you take it and use it in your practices.
I'm Kelly Lee. I had wrist surgery about maybe 2 months ago. I have the X39 patch. It has helped a lot with movement. I couldn't move my arm. The stiffness in the joints is gone. I've only worn the patch, I think this is my 3rd day or 2nd day. The scars actually lifted completely off, so I can have more range of movement, whereas it was stuck. And the pain isn't there. It feels like I have more range, and there's no stiffness at all.
All right, so last week, Friday, Kelly had 40 degrees of extension and 40 degrees of flexion. So she's actually worn this patch now for only a day. And let's measure your wrist all the way back. Very good. That's 60 degrees. And let's go forwards. $60 degrees. So you've gained 20 degrees of motion.
From one day of wearing the patch.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's mad. I don't think this would happen. And we did one session on Tuesday, and that was it.
Yeah, and we didn't even work on the restraint on
No.
Tuesday. We're working on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm. So we just did the patch
Yeah,
on Tuesday.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So what we also noticed in therapy last time was that your shoulder was weak and your lats were weak, which was affecting your wrist motion and pain in your wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to lat strengthening exercises. We've done subscap strengthening. In fact, the whole shoulder we've been strengthening. Okay, so now you can actually do that and get great range. And you've got any pain in your shoulder like you had before?
No, it doesn't feel stiff or locked or tight. It feels normal.
Okay, super.
So update today on my progress with my wrist is we've incorporated some activity, some HIIT, some yoga, some strengthening training, just because essentially Robin can say, okay, we've got the range, you've got your patches that you've been using, I've got the Ice Wave, I've got the X39 on now, I've got all the exercises she's given me, so essentially now I can go on my own and do it together. But I'm still a bit nervous to go back to the gym. Essentially putting weight back on my wrist is a bit scary for me. Reoccurring injury is also a bit of a stressful one. So staying with Robin, doing more strengthening training, doing yoga and HIIT training on balls with weights, with resistance bands helps a lot. It helps with my strength all over body, my wrist, as well as my mental strength. We do it in the sun, so that's always a plus. I love being in the sun. The vitamin D is really good for you. Yeah, the patches are helping me with the pain. Essentially, I had quite a bit of pain in my joint here from just, I guess, overuse of my wrist. We put the patches on, I think the same day. My pain was gone. My dad's been using the patches as well, so is my sister. My best friend as well, he's also been injured. So yeah, overall it's a really good mixture of strength training, patches, information, and Robin's helped a lot, so I'm looking forward to the rest of the recovery.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure. We just completed our workout. We did it outside in the sun as well as inside. We used a range of different exercise tools. I feel really refreshed. It actually feels like I took a full run, jumped in the pool, and I'm ready for the day. I think if I had to do this every morning, it would make a really big difference in my life. So I feel refreshed and happy to go.